Sophie's body hit Maya's arms 45 feet down, and the sound, bones shattering, shoulder exploding, made the woman with the stroller vomit on the sidewalk. Maya couldn't breathe, couldn't move her right arm. It hung dead, twisted wrong, useless. But Sophie was screaming, alive. 4 adults had walked past this building in 90 seconds, while a 4-year-old climbed out a 3rd-floor window. 4 people looked at their phones. Maya looked up, ran, destroyed herself, saved a stranger's child. Because 18 months ago, her 5-year-old sister Emma fell from a burning building, and Maya wasn't fast enough. This time she was. Before we continue, subscribe to our channel and let us know in the comments what city you're watching from. We want to see how far Maya's story reaches. And please, stay until the end. What happens next will restore your faith in strangers. Maya couldn't feel her legs, couldn't feel anything except the weight of Sophie Martinez against her chest and the screaming pain in her right shoulder that made her vision go white at the edges. "Don't move her," someone shouted, a man's voice, deep, urgent. "Don't move the kid. Someone call 911. But Maya was already moving, rolling onto her left side, cradling Sophie with her good arm because the impact had knocked the wind out of the little girl, and she needed to breathe. Sophie gasped once, twice, then started crying. High-pitched, terrified wailing that was the most beautiful sound Maya had ever heard. Crying means breathing. Breathing means alive. "I've got you," Maya whispered. Her own voice sounded strange, broken. "I've got you. You're okay. You're okay." Sophie's mother appeared, materialized out of nowhere like mothers do when their children scream. Jennifer Martinez hit the sidewalk at a full sprint, her phone clattering across the concrete, her face drained of all color. "Sophie! Oh God, Sophie!" Jennifer dropped to her knees beside them, hands shaking so badly she couldn't coordinate her movements. She reached for her daughter, pulled back, reached again. Is she? "She's breathing," Maya said. She let Jennifer take Sophie, watched the mother gather her child against her chest, hands running over Sophie's arms, legs, checking for breaks, for blood, for damage. "She's crying. That's good. Crying is good." Jennifer looked at Maya for the first time, really looked at her, saw the jacket 3 sizes too large, saw the duct tape holding the sneakers together, saw the way Maya was cradling her right arm against her chest, the shoulder hanging at an angle that made Jennifer's stomach turn. You caught her. You caught my baby." Maya nodded, couldn't speak anymore. The adrenaline was wearing off, and the pain was coming in waves now, hot and sharp and all-consuming. "I need to call an ambulance," Jennifer said. She was crying now, still holding Sophie, still checking her over and over. "You're hurt. Your shoulder." "No." The word came out too fast, too panicked. Maya tried to stand, made it halfway up before her legs gave out. "No ambulance, no hospital, I'm fine." "You're not fine. Your shoulder is—" "I said no." The tone stopped Jennifer mid-sentence. It wasn't angry, it was terrified. The voice of someone who'd learned that hospitals meant questions, questions meant authorities, authorities meant being taken back. A motorcycle engine cut through the moment. Deep rumble, then silence. Bootsteps on concrete. "Everybody okay here?" Marcus Rivera, though Maya didn't know his name yet, stood 6 feet away, helmet under his arm, eyes already assessing the situation with a kind of calm that came from years of seeing chaos and learning how to sort it into manageable pieces. He was 52, built like someone who'd spent 30 years doing physical work, wearing a leather vest that said Iron Wolves MC across the back. Gray in his beard, tattoos covering both forearms. The kind of man that made people cross the street to avoid. But his voice was gentle when he spoke again. "Ma'am, is your daughter hurt?" Jennifer clutched Sophie tighter. "I don't know, I don't think so. She fell from the fire escape, 3rd floor. This girl caught her." Ghost, that's what his brothers called him, shifted his attention to Maya, took in the details in 3 seconds, the way she was protecting that shoulder, the fear in her eyes, the calculation happening behind them, measuring exits, assessing threats. He'd seen that look before. In Kabul, in Atlanta, in interview rooms at the police station before he'd left the force, because watching commanders protect child abusers in base housing had finally broken something in him he couldn't fix. "What's your name?" he asked Maya. She didn't answer immediately, watched him, waited to see what he'd do with the information. Maya, I'm Ghost. I need you to let me look at that shoulder." "I'm fine." "You're not fine. That's a dislocation, maybe a fracture. You need medical attention." "I can't go to a hospital." "Why not?" The silence stretched. Jennifer was still on the ground with Sophie, phone in her hand, 911 dialed but not pressed. Waiting. 2 other people had stopped now, forming a small crowd. Maya's breathing got faster. "Because they'll send me back," she said finally. The words came out flat, dead. "I don't have ID, no insurance card. The hospital will call the facility. Director Chen will say I'm a runaway, that I'm emotionally disturbed, that I hurt myself for attention." Her voice dropped. "I've seen her do it to other kids. Nobody believes us." Ghost felt something cold settle in his chest. He knew that facility. Parkside Youth Residential Center, city-contracted group home. He dropped off donations there twice with the club. Both times the kids he'd seen had that same look. Exhausted, guarded, flinching at sudden movements. "How long have you been running?" 2 weeks. "Where have you been sleeping?" Maya's jaw tightened. "Subway stations, sometimes the park. There's a spot under the bridge where security doesn't check." Jennifer made a small sound, horror mixed with guilt. "You've been on the street for 2 weeks and you still stopped to catch my daughter?" "I couldn't." Maya's voice broke. She swallowed hard, started again. "I couldn't just watch. Not again." "Not again?" Ghost asked quietly. Maya's good hand went to her pocket, pulled out a photograph. Wallet-sized school picture, bent at the corners, faded from constant handling. A little girl, maybe 5 years old, gap-toothed smile, pigtails tied with yellow ribbons. "Emma," Maya whispered. "My little sister. She was 5. Apartment fire 18 months ago. I got out. She didn't." Pause. "I tried to go back. The firefighters pulled me away. Said the building was too unstable. Said I'd die if I went back in." Her eyes filled, but no tears fell. "Emma died while I was on the sidewalk doing nothing." Ghost felt something shift in his chest. This wasn't just about catching a falling child. This was about redemption. About getting a second chance to save someone when the first time the universe had said no. "Sophie felt just like Emma," Maya continued. Her voice was barely audible now. "Same weight, same size. But this time I was fast enough. This time I didn't freeze. This time the child lives." Jennifer was crying openly now, still holding Sophie, who'd stopped wailing and was just making small, hiccuping sounds against her mother's shoulder. Ghost pulled out his phone, speed dialed. Tank answered on the second ring. "Talk to me." "I need the wolves, all of them. I'm at 1634 Anderson Street. I've got a situation." "What kind of situation?" "The kind that involves a 14-year-old girl who just saved a kid's life and broke her own shoulder doing it. She's been running from Parkside for 2 weeks, sleeping rough, and she just told me things about Director Chen that need immediate attention." Silence on the other end. 3 seconds. Then, "We're coming." Ghost hung up, looked at Maya, made a decision that would change both their lives. He pulled off his leather vest. The cut. 11 years of brotherhood stitched into leather in patches. The Iron Wolves MC rocker, the road name he'd earned in blood and loyalty. He draped it carefully over Maya's shoulders, mindful of the destroyed joint. "You see this?" he said. His voice carried weight now. authority, promise. This means you're under the protection of the Iron Wolves Motorcycle Club. That cut on your shoulders means 200 brothers and sisters just became your family. Nobody touches you. Nobody takes you. Nobody hurts you. Not Parkside, not Director Chen, not anyone. Maya stared at him. Why? Because you saved a stranger's child and destroyed yourself doing it. Because you've been invisible for 2 weeks and you're still putting other people first. Because I'm tired of watching kids fall through cracks that adults pretend not to see. He crouched down so they were eye level. I lost someone too, he said quietly. Not a sister, a witness. 8-year-old girl who told me her stepfather was hurting her. I filed the report, did everything right. Command buried it because the stepfather was a lieutenant colonel. His jaw tightened. She died 6 months later. Official cause, accidental fall. Unofficial cause, I didn't push hard enough. Maya's eyes widened. So when I say you're protected, I mean it. When I say we're not letting you disappear, I'm making a promise I will die keeping. Do you understand? Maya nodded slowly. The weight of the vest on her shoulders felt like armor, like safety, like someone finally saying, you matter, and meaning it. Mr. Ghost? Jennifer stood up, still holding Sophie. What do you need from me? Right now? Be a witness. You saw what she did. You saw that shoulder break. When the police ask questions, and they will, you tell them exactly what happened. This kid is a hero. That matters. Jennifer nodded. I'll tell them. I'll tell everyone. Ghost pulled out his phone again. Different number this time. Doc, it's Ghost. I need you at 1634 Anderson. Bring your kit. I've got a kid with a dislocated shoulder who can't go through official channels. Can you do a field reset? How bad? Bad enough that she's been holding it for 20 minutes without passing out. I'm 10 minutes out. Ghost looked at Maya. Doc is coming. Elena Santos, former Army combat medic. Worked field hospitals for 8 years before she retired. She's going to reset that shoulder. It's going to hurt like hell for about 15 seconds, but after that, you'll be able to move again. Will she report me? No. Doc doesn't report to anybody except her conscience. And her conscience says kids who save other kids deserve medical care, not interrogation. Maya's shoulders, the good one and the destroyed one, finally relaxed. Just a fraction. Just enough to show that maybe, possibly, she was starting to believe him. I don't understand, she said. 4 people walked past this building while Sophie was falling. You're the 5th person. Why did you stop? Ghost was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of 30 years of mistakes and lessons learned the hard way. Because I didn't stop the first time it mattered. Because I filed a report and went home and told myself I'd done my job. Because an 8-year-old girl died while I was convincing myself the system would protect her. He looked at Maya. You don't get many second chances in this life. When you do, you take them. You stop for Sophie. I'm stopping for you. The sound of motorcycles started in the distance, low rumble building to thunder. By the time Doc arrived in her SUV, there were 12 bikes parked along Anderson Street. By the time Doc finished examining Maya's shoulder, photographing the injury, documenting the malnutrition, noting the defensive wounds on her wrists that spoke of restraints, there were 37. And by the time Maya finally broke down and told them everything, about Parkside, about Director Chen, about the locked reflection room, and the starvation rations, and the kids who got transferred in the middle of the night and were never seen again, there were 53. 53 motorcycles. 53 men and women who dropped everything because Ghost had called and said a kid needed help. Doc worked on Maya's shoulder in Ghost's apartment 3 blocks away. Jennifer had insisted on coming, bringing Sophie, who'd been checked by paramedics and cleared with nothing but bruises. Sophie kept asking why the nice girl was crying. Because sometimes saving someone hurts, Jennifer told her daughter. But we do it anyway. Doc positioned Maya's arm. On 3. 1, She pulled and rotated on two. The sound of bones sliding back into socket made half the people in the room wince. Maya gasped, bit down on the scream, took it. "Brave girl," Doc said. Then she started photographing everything else. The bruises on Maya's forearms, the scrapes on her knees, the burns on her palms from climbing out a bathroom window because she'd been locked in for 14 hours with no food, no water, no bathroom. "These photos are evidence now," Doc said. "Time-stamped, witnessed, admissible in court." Tank arrived at 6:47 p.m. Sarah Kowalski, 47 years old, 5'6" of controlled intensity. She'd been a detective for NYPD for 12 years before leaving because too many cases got buried by politics, and she couldn't watch one more child disappear into a system designed to protect adults. She sat down across from Maya at Ghost's kitchen table. "Tell me about Parkside," Tank said. Not a request, an invitation. And Maya did. She told them about the room she shared with 3 other girls. 9 feet by 12 feet, 4 metal beds, 1 window painted shut. Fire code violation nobody cared about. She told them about the food, how meals came at fixed times, and if you missed breakfast at 6:30 a.m. because you were sick, you didn't eat until lunch at 11:30. How portions got smaller every month. How the kitchen staff member who complained about the budget cuts got fired. She told them about the reflection room. 6 feet by 8 feet. No windows, just concrete walls and a camera in the corner. How kids got sent there for de-escalation when they asked too many questions. How she'd been locked in there for 14 hours once for asking why her grandmother couldn't visit. She told them about director Leslie Chen, Ph.D. in social work, 20 years in child welfare, awards from the governor, the woman with the perfect resume who used clinical terminology like a weapon, who could smile at city inspectors while children sat in locked rooms down the hall, going hungry. And then Maya told them about the van. "White cargo van," she said. "No windows in the back. I saw it 7 times in 6 months, always late at night, 10, 11 p.m. A staff member would wake up one of the kids, usually the ones who'd been there longest, the ones who'd stopped asking questions, and tell them they were being transferred to a therapeutic foster placement. Better environment, more support. "Did you ever see those kids again?" Tank asked. "No, never. And when I asked where they went, Director Chen said confidentiality protected the children, that families deserve privacy during transitions." Tank and Ghost exchanged glances. They both knew what that meant. "How many kids?" Tank asked. Maya's voice got smaller. 7 that I knew about, maybe more before I got there. The room went silent. 53 bikers all processing what they just heard. Ghost's voice cut through the quiet. "We need Reaper." James Mitchell arrived at 7:15 p.m., 49 years old, former IRS Criminal Investigation Division. 22 years federal service before retiring early when his wife got sick. He'd specialized in financial crimes that involved vulnerable populations. He listened to Maya's story, asked 3 questions, pulled out his phone. "I'm calling FBI," he said. "Financial crimes and crimes against children. If Director Chen is placing kids with unlicensed individuals and keeping state funding, that's wire fraud and child trafficking." He stepped into the hallway, came back 15 minutes later with a granite expression. "They're interested, very interested, but they need evidence beyond one victim's testimony. They need patterns, documents, witnesses." Tank looked around the room. 53 brothers and sisters. 53 people who'd answered a call without hesitation. "Then we get them evidence." Ghost looked at Maya, who was sitting with Doc's vest draped over her shoulders now. Doc had insisted, said the girl needed layers, needed warmth, needed visible protection. "Are you willing to fight?" he asked her. "Because this won't be easy. Director Chen has awards. She has connections. She's been doing this for years and nobody stopped her. Fighting back means going on record, means people will question you, means reliving everything. Maya touched the photograph in her pocket. Emma's smile, Emma's pigtails, Emma's last moment before the smoke took her. "I'm tired of being invisible," Maya said. "I'm tired of watching kids disappear and pretending it's normal. I'm tired of adults who see and choose silence." She looked at Ghost. "You said I'm protected now. You meant it?" "I meant it." "Then I'll fight. For me, for Emma, for the 7 kids who got in that van and never came back." Tank stood. "Church meeting. Tomorrow dawn. Every chapter within 200 miles. We're going to find those kids. And we're going to make sure Director Chen never hurts another child." Maya sat at Ghost's kitchen table, wearing 2 motorcycle vests that weren't hers, surrounded by 53 strangers who'd become family in 6 hours. For the first time in 18 months, she wasn't invisible. For the first time since Emma died, she wasn't alone. And for the first time in her life, someone had looked at her broken shoulder and her duct-taped shoes and her photo of a dead sister and decided she was worth saving. The rumble started at 5:47 a.m. Low at first, like distant thunder rolling across the city. Then it grew, louder, closer. The sound of 200 engines converging on a single point. Ghost's apartment building shook. Pictures rattled on walls. Car alarms triggered up and down the block. Maya jerked awake on the couch where she'd finally fallen asleep at 3 a.m., Doc's vest still wrapped around her shoulders. Her right arm was in a sling now, the shoulder reset but screaming with every breath. She stumbled to the window. The street below was filling with motorcycles. One after another, Montana plates, Wyoming plates, Colorado plates. They parked in perfect formation, engines cutting off in waves, leaving a silence that felt heavier than the noise. "They came," Maya whispered. Ghost appeared beside her, 2 cups of coffee in his hands. He held one out to her. "I told you, when I make a promise, I keep it." Tank was already downstairs, standing in the center of the street like a general surveying her troops. Sarah Kowalski hadn't slept. Her eyes were red-rimmed but sharp, her jaw set in a way that said someone was about to have a very bad day. She waited until every engine was silent, until 200 men and women were watching her. Then she spoke, her voice carrying in the morning air without shouting. "Most of you don't know why you're here yet. You came because I called, because Ghost called, because that's what family does." She paused. "Yesterday, a 14-year-old girl named Maya Chen saved a 4-year-old's life, broke her own shoulder catching the kid mid-fall. 4 adults walked past that building while Sophie Martinez was falling. Maya was the only one who ran. Someone in the crowd said, 'Where's the girl now?' 'Protected, safe, Ghost's custody until we sort this legally." Tank's expression hardened. "But here's what you need to know. Maya's been on the street for 2 weeks, running from Parkside Youth Residential Center. And what she told us last night about that facility, about Director Leslie Chen, means we've got work to do." Reaper stepped forward. James Mitchell had brought his laptop, had spent the hours between midnight and dawn pulling everything he could find on Parkside's financials. "State contract pays $4,800 per month per child," Reaper said. "Parkside houses 48 kids on average. That's $230,000 per month in funding. But their reported expenses don't add up. Food budget was cut from $14 to $6 per child per day 3 years ago. Staff salaries decreased. Maintenance deferred. Where's the money going?" "Into someone's pocket," Tank said. "And Maya told us about 7 kids who got transferred to therapeutic foster placements in the middle of the night. White cargo van, no windows, no paperwork she ever saw. Those kids disappeared." The crowd shifted, anger rippling through 200 people at once. "So here's what we're doing," Tank continued. "We're going door to door, every business, every residence within 6 blocks of Parkside. We're asking one question. Have you seen anything concerning about the youth center at 847 Industrial Boulevard? We're not breaking laws. We're not threatening anyone. We're being the eyes that should have been watching all along. A woman near the back spoke up. What if Director Chen lawyers up, accuses us of harassment? Let her, Tank said. Every conversation we have gets documented, time-stamped, witnessed. We're building a case the FBI can't ignore. Reaper's contact needs patterns, witnesses, evidence. We're going to give them enough evidence to bury her. Ghost descended the stairs, Maya beside him. She'd insisted on coming, said she needed to see this, needed to know she wasn't fighting alone. The crowd parted as they approached. 200 strangers looking at a skinny kid in an oversized jacket with her arm in a sling. Looking at someone who'd been invisible 24 hours ago and was now the reason they'd all driven through the night. This is Maya, Ghost said simply. She's the reason we're here. She's the reason we're going to find those missing kids. And she's the reason Director Chen's career ends today. Maya swallowed hard, looked at the faces staring back at her, saw belief, saw rage on her behalf, saw people ready to fight because she'd had the courage to speak. Thank you, she said. Her voice was small but steady. I don't know what to say except thank you. For stopping, for listening, for believing me when I thought nobody would. Tank stepped beside her. You don't have to thank us. You just have to keep being brave a little bit longer. Can you do that? Maya touched the photograph in her pocket. Emma's smile, Emma's yellow ribbons. I can do that. The canvas began at 6:30 a.m. Teams of 3, one person to knock, one to document, one to witness. They spread out in concentric circles from Parkside, working systematically, professionally, leaving no door untouched. By 8:15 a.m., they had their first witness. Rebecca Townsend lived at 839 Industrial Boulevard, 2 buildings down from Parkside. She was 68, retired school teacher, widow who'd lived in the same apartment for 34 years. She answered the door in her bathrobe, saw the leather vests, and started to close the door. Ma'am, we're not here to cause trouble, Professor said. Daniel Hayes, former high school counselor and social worker, 20 years in the system before he left, because he'd seen too many kids fall through cracks he wasn't allowed to patch. He had kind eyes, a gentle voice, the kind of presence that made people feel safe. We're investigating concerns about the children's facility down the street. Have you seen anything that worried you? Rebecca hesitated, looked past Professor at the motorcycles lining the street, looked back at his face. You're not city officials? No, ma'am, we're concerned citizens. One of the kids from that facility saved a little girl's life yesterday. When we talked to her about why she ran away, she told us things that need investigating. We're hoping neighbors might have seen something too. Rebecca's expression changed. Something clicked into place. The van, she said. I've seen the van. Professor didn't move, didn't react, just waited. White cargo van, Rebecca continued. Her hands were shaking now. No windows in the back. I've seen it at Parkside maybe 8, 9 times over the past 2 years. Always late at night, 10, 11 p.m. I'd see it pull up. Then a staff member would come out with a child. Sometimes the kid had a duffel bag, sometimes nothing. They'd get in the van, and I'd never see that child again. Did you report it? Rebecca's face crumpled. I asked once, asked a staff member I saw at the grocery store where one of the girls went. Little girl who used to play in the yard. She told me the girl had been transferred to a therapeutic placement. Better environment. Said families deserve privacy during transitions. Said it was confidential. Her voice broke. I told myself that was reasonable, that someone qualified was handling it, that asking more questions would violate the child's privacy. Professor wrote it down, every word. Can you describe the van, make, model, license plate? White Ford Transit, maybe 2018, 2019. License plate started with 7R. I can't remember the rest. I'm sorry, I should have written it down. I should have called someone. You're calling someone now, Professor said gently. That's what matters. May I take your formal statement? Get your contact information in case investigators need to speak with you? Rebecca nodded, started crying. How many children did I let disappear? Professor didn't have an answer for that, so he just said, You're helping us find them now. That counts for something. By 10:30 a.m. they had their second witness, Sandra Mitchell, 54, former Parkside cook, fired in 2023 for what her termination letter called insubordination and failure to follow supervisory directives. Tank interviewed her personally. They sat at Sandra's kitchen table, Sandra's hands wrapped around a coffee mug like she needed something to hold on to. The food budget was supposed to be $14 per child per day, Sandra said. That's what the state contract specified. For 48 kids, that's $672 per day. I turned in my receipts every Friday, documented everything. She took a breath. After 6 months, Director Chen called me into her office, said we needed to optimize operational costs, said the food budget was now $6 per child per day. What did you do? I told her that wasn't enough, that I couldn't provide adequate nutrition on $6. She said, Then you'll have to be creative, Sandra. Sandra's jaw tightened. I tried, bought cheaper cuts, more pasta, less fresh produce, but kids were still hungry. I started bringing food from home, my own money to fill the gaps. How long did you do that? 3 months. Then I went back to her, showed her meal logs, showed her kids weren't getting enough protein. She listened, nodded, said, Your job is to prepare meals within budget. If you can't do that, I'll find someone who can. Tank leaned forward. What happened next? I filed a formal complaint with the city licensing board, documented everything, submitted financial records showing the discrepancy between contract promise and actual spending. Sandra met Tank's eyes. 2 weeks later, I was terminated. Insubordination, failure to follow directives. My complaint was forwarded to the facility board for internal review. I called 3 times. Every time, the matter is being handled internally, Miss Mitchell. Thank you for your concern. Do you still have copies of those documents? Everything. Receipts, meal logs, budget memos, the complaint I filed, my termination letter. I kept it all because I knew something wasn't right. I just didn't know who to give it to. Tank reached across the table. You're giving it to us now, and we're giving it to the FBI. By 12:45 p.m., they had their third witness, and this one changed everything. Frank Chen, no relation to Director Leslie Chen, was 71, retired postal worker who delivered mail on Industrial Boulevard for 33 years before retiring in 2022. Bishop handled the interview. Marcus Hayes, former detective, instincts sharp as ever. I saw kids in places they shouldn't be, Frank said. He was sitting on his porch, postal service cap still on his head. 3 years ago, maybe late 2022, I delivered to 4738 Overland Avenue, rural route. When I pulled up, I saw 3 children in the garage. Door was open, no heat. It was December, maybe 30 degrees. They were sleeping on blankets on the concrete floor. Did you recognize them? No, but I knew they didn't belong there. The guy who lived there, Travis Brennan, he didn't have kids. I delivered to him for 12 years. Then suddenly there's 3 kids in his garage in December. Did you report it? Frank's expression hardened. I reported it to my supervisor, told him something felt wrong. He said, Not our business, Frank. Deliver mail, don't deliver opinions. He paused. I should have gone higher, called child services directly, but I didn't. I let his answer be enough. Bishop was writing faster now. Is Travis Brennan still at that address? No, house was sold 6 months later, spring 2023. I don't know where he went. Bishop looked up. Did you ever deliver mail to Parkside Youth Residential Center? Every day for years. Did you notice anything unusual about their mail? Frank thought about it. Yeah, actually, they got a lot of certified letters, official-looking envelopes, state seals. But I also noticed their outgoing mail increased significantly around 2022. Letters to addresses all over the state, always the same return format, Parkside Administrative Office. I didn't think much of it then, but looking back, those could be fake placement documents, Bishop said, creating paper trails for children who'd been moved off the books. By 2 p.m., Reaper had 17 witness statements. By 4 p.m., his FBI contact had secured a preliminary investigation warrant. Maya sat in Ghost's apartment while the wolves hunted. She couldn't participate in the canvas. Too recognizable. Too vulnerable if Director Chen had people watching. But she could hear everything. Every witness statement that came back to the command center. Every piece of evidence that built the case. Every confirmation that she hadn't been crazy, that what she'd seen was real. At 3:30 p.m., Carmen Rivera arrived, Ghost's wife. She was 48, former school counselor, retired early after budget cuts eliminated her position. She'd spent 22 years helping kids navigate systems that didn't want to help them back. She sat down beside Maya, didn't say anything at first, just sat there, present, giving Maya permission to not be okay. I keep thinking about them, Maya said finally. The 7 kids who got in that van. I knew their names. Brittany, Marcus, Jessica, Timothy, Lily, David, Angela. She looked at Carmen. I knew their names and I didn't do anything. You were a child yourself, Carmen said gently. Surviving, that's not the same as choosing silence. But adults saw too. That woman Rebecca, the postal worker, the cook, they're all saying they should have done something. Why didn't they? Carmen was quiet for a moment. Because intervening is uncomfortable. Because questioning authority is scary. Because we tell ourselves someone more qualified will handle it. She looked at Maya. But you know what? They're handling it now. You gave them permission to care. You showed them what courage looks like, and they're following your lead. At 5:17 p.m., Tank called an emergency meeting at the Iron Wolves clubhouse. Every team leader, Reaper, Ghost, Doc, Bishop, Professor. Reaper's FBI contact is ready to move, Tank said, but they need one more thing. They need to place Director Chen at the center of the fraud. Right now we've got witness statements about the van, about the budget cuts, about missing kids. We need proof she personally benefited. Reaper pulled up his laptop. I've been digging into her financials. Leslie Chen's salary is $78,000 per year. But 3 years ago, she bought a house for $340,000. Cash. No mortgage. 2 years ago, she leased a luxury car. $800 per month. Her daughter goes to private school. $22,000 per year tuition. Where's the money coming from? Ghost asked. That's what the FBI needs to figure out. But I can tell you this. If she's placing kids with unlicensed individuals for cash under the table, that money's not being reported as income. And if the facility is billing the state at $4,800 per month per child, while paying foster placements $800 cash, someone's pocketing $4,000 per child. He did the math quickly. 7 kids, average placement of 10 months each before someone asked questions. That's $280,000. The room went silent. She sold children, Bishop said. His voice was flat, dead. She sold children and bought a house. Tank stood. The FBI raids tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Simultaneous execution of Parkside, at Director Chen's home, at the administrative offices. They're bringing forensic accountants, digital evidence teams, the full treatment. She looked around the room. Our job tonight is to make sure Maya is protected. Because when this hits the news, Director Chen is going to know exactly who talked. And desperate people do desperate things. Ghost's phone rang. Jennifer Martinez. He answered. Ghost, I've been thinking about what Maya did. About how 4 people walked past my building and didn't stop. About how she was the only one who ran. Jennifer's voice was shaking. I want to help. Whatever you need. Money, testimony, advocacy. I want to make sure that girl knows she's not alone. She knows, Ghost said, but I'll tell her again. Thank you. He hung up, looked at Tank. Sophie's mother wants to help. Add her to the witness list. Mother of the child Maya saved. Character testimony. Civilians matter in these cases. At 6:30 p.m., Maya finally asked the question that had been building all day. What if they don't find them? She was sitting at Ghost's kitchen table, Emma's photograph in front of her. What if those 7 kids are just gone? Ghost sat down across from her, didn't lie, didn't offer false comfort. Then we tell their names, he said. We make sure people know Brittany, Marcus, Jessica, Timothy, Lily, David, and Angela existed, that they mattered, that someone remembers them. He paused. But we're not there yet. We're not even close to giving up. You hear me? Maya nodded, but her hands were shaking. I was invisible for 18 months, she whispered. What if they've been invisible longer? What if nobody even knows they're missing? Someone knows now, Ghost said. 200 people know now. The FBI knows now. And tomorrow, the whole city is going to know. You made that happen, Maya. You saved Sophie. And in saving her, you saved every kid. Director Chen hasn't disappeared yet. That matters. That changes everything. At 9 p.m., Tank made one more call. To Judge Patricia Martinez. Not Sophie's mother, different Martinez. The judge who handled emergency custody cases in family court. I'm calling because we have a situation that's going to explode tomorrow morning, Tank said. FBI raid on Parkside Youth Residential Center. Director arrested. Facility in chaos. And I've got a 14-year-old witness who can't go back into the system. She paused. I need emergency foster placement. Ghost and Carmen Rivera are willing, but we need it done tonight, before the news breaks, before Director Chen's lawyers start making moves. Judge Martinez was quiet for 3 seconds. Bring the girl to my chambers. 7 a.m. tomorrow. Before the raid, I'll have the paperwork ready. Tank hung up, looked at Ghost. She's yours in 10 hours. Ghost's eyes filled. Carmen wrapped her arms around him. And for the first time since Shayna died 9 years ago, for the first time since he'd watched an 8-year-old girl fall through a system that didn't care, Ghost let himself hope that maybe this time he'd be fast enough. This time, the child lives. Maya didn't sleep, couldn't. She sat at Ghost's kitchen table watching the clock tick towards 6 a.m., Emma's photograph clutched in her left hand, her right arm throbbing in the sling despite the pain medication Doc had given her. Carmen sat with her, didn't try to make conversation, just sat there in the 4 a.m. darkness, 2 women waiting for dawn to break everything open. At 5:47 a.m., Ghost's phone buzzed. Text from Reaper. Teams in position, warrants signed, it's happening. Ghost showed Maya the screen. You ready for this? No, Maya said honestly, but that doesn't matter, does it? No, it doesn't. At 5:55 a.m., they left for the courthouse. Judge Martinez had agreed to see them before official hours, before the news broke, before Director Chen's lawyers could mobilize. The emergency custody hearing took place in chambers, not a courtroom. Just Judge Martinez behind her desk, Maya sitting between Ghost and Carmen, a court reporter documenting everything. Miss Chen, Judge Martinez said. Her voice was kind but formal, professional. I've reviewed the preliminary evidence. I've read the witness statements. I've seen the photographs of your injuries. Before I make any decisions, I need to hear from you directly. Do you want to live with Marcus and Carmen Rivera? Maya's throat closed. She'd been asked 100 questions in 18 months. Questions designed to evaluate her, categorize her, process her through a system that treated children like paperwork. But nobody had asked her what she wanted. Nobody had cared about the answer. Yes, she managed. I want to stay with them. Why? Because they asked. Because they listened. Because Mr. Ghost gave me his vest and meant it when he said I was safe. Maya's voice got stronger. Because for the first time since Emma died, I saved someone instead of losing someone. And I don't want to lose that. I don't want to go back to being invisible. Judge Martinez looked at Ghost and Carmen. You understand this child has experienced significant trauma, that she'll need ongoing therapeutic support, medical care, educational stability, that this isn't going to be easy. Your Honor, Carmen said quietly, we understand trauma. We understand that healing doesn't happen on a schedule. And we understand that family isn't just blood. It's showing up. It's staying. It's being there when the nightmares come. Judge Martinez signed the order at 6:04 a.m. Emergency custody granted. Maya Chen placed with Marcus and Carmen Rivera, pending full adoption proceedings. Social services will conduct home visits. Therapy is mandatory. School enrollment is mandatory. And Miss Chen, she looked directly at Maya, you have a voice now. Use it. Tell these people when you need help. Tell your therapist when things are hard. Tell your teachers when you're struggling. Nobody can help you if you stay invisible. Understood? Understood. They walked out of chambers at 6:11 a.m. Maya was carrying a folder with her new address on it. 412 Riverside Avenue. Not a facility, not temporary placement. Home. Ghost's phone rang before they reached the car. Reaper. Ghost answered on speaker. They're inside Parkside. Forensic team has Director Chen's computer. They're imaging the hard drive now. Resistance? None. Half the staff didn't even know it was happening. The morning shift showed up to federal agents in the lobby. Reaper paused. Maya was right about everything. The kids who are there right now, they're scared, but they're talking. Two of them mentioned the white van. One girl said she watched her roommate get taken away 3 months ago and never come back. Carmen's hand found Maya's, squeezed. What about Director Chen? Ghost asked. Team 2 is at her house now. She answered the door in her bathrobe. They're reading her rights. The arrest happened at 6:22 a.m. while Leslie Chen was making coffee. She'd been standing in her kitchen with the renovated countertops and custom cabinetry when 3 FBI agents knocked. When they showed her the warrant, she'd said, I think there's been a mistake. No mistake, ma'am. You're being charged with wire fraud, theft of government funds, 12 counts of child endangerment, and conspiracy to commit welfare fraud. They'd walked her out in handcuffs while her neighbors watched. The woman with the PhD and the governor's award and the perfect resume being put into an unmarked car at 6:30 on a Friday morning. By 7:15 a.m., the forensic accountant had found the spreadsheet, hidden in a subfolder labeled Personal Photos 2019 on Director Chen's laptop. Password protected, encrypted, the kind of file someone creates when they know they're doing something wrong and they're trying to hide it. The spreadsheet had 2 tabs. The first was labeled Current Residents, 48 names, 48 children currently at Parkside, each with intake dates, caseworker assignments, state funding amounts. The second tab was labeled Transfers, 9 rows, 9 names, 9 children listed as transferred to therapeutic foster care between 2022 and 2024. Agent Sarah Morrison read the names aloud to her partner. Brittany Walsh, age 13. Marcus Williams, age 11. Jessica Park, age 8. Timothy Ross, age 12. Lily Tran, age 9. David Foster, age 14. Angela Martinez, age 10. She scrolled. 2 more. Brandon Lee, age 12. Christina Hayes, age 11. Maya only knew about 7, her partner said. There are 2 more she didn't even know about. Morrison clicked on the cells. Each child had 4 columns of data. Placement date, monthly state payment received, Monthly cash payment made. Status. State was paying $4,800 per month per child, Morrison said. Chen was placing them with individuals for $800 cash, pocketing $4,000 per child. She did the math quickly. 9 children, average placement length 10 months. That's $360,000. What's the status column say? Morrison's face went hard. 5 children, located, CPS intervention required. 4 children, unknown, file closed. Unknown? File closed? What the hell does that mean? It means Chen lost track of them. Means the people she placed them with moved, disappeared, or worse, and she closed the files instead of reporting them missing. The partner pulled out his phone, called his supervisor. We need to upgrade charges, add child trafficking. These aren't just fraudulent placements. She deliberately placed children with unvetted individuals and then stopped monitoring their welfare. That's trafficking under federal statute. By 8:30 a.m., the FBI had executed search warrants on 3 addresses linked to the spreadsheet. The first was 4738 Overland Avenue, Travis Brennan's old house. The new owners had bought it in April 2023, said they'd never heard of Parkside or Director Chen. But in the garage, agents found something. Written on the concrete wall in child's handwriting, partially painted over, Marcus was here. If you find this, tell someone we were cold. The second address was 847 Pine Ridge Road, current residence of Travis Brennan. He wasn't home. His girlfriend answered the door, said Travis was at work. When agents asked about children living at the residence, she said, "What children? Travis doesn't have kids." They got a warrant to search anyway. Found 3 sleeping bags in the basement. Found children's clothing in a garbage bag. Found a receipt from a grocery store dated 2 weeks ago. $180 in food purchased with an EBT card in a name that didn't match either Travis or his girlfriend. He's still doing it, Morrison said. Chen got arrested and he's still holding kids. They found Travis at his construction job site, brought him in for questioning. He lawyered up immediately, wouldn't talk. But his phone records told the story. 17 calls to a number that matched Director Chen's personal cell over the past 2 years. Text messages discussing deliveries and monthly arrangements. By 10 a.m., agents had located Brittany Walsh. She was 15 now, living in a trailer park 120 miles outside the city with a woman named Susan Monroe who'd been accepting $800 per month cash to foster her. Brittany had no bed, slept on a couch, hadn't been enrolled in school for 8 months, was being used as unpaid labor, cleaning Susan's house, watching Susan's actual children. When agents knocked, Brittany answered the door. Saw the FBI badges, started crying. "Are you taking me back to Parkside?" she asked. "No, honey, we're taking you somewhere safe, where people will actually take care of you." Brittany grabbed a backpack. Everything she owned fit inside. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Is Maya okay? Maya Chen?" "She was at Parkside with me. She ran away 2 weeks ago. Director Chen said she was disturbed, that she'd probably hurt herself. Is she alive?" Morrison felt something crack in her chest. "Maya's fine. She's safe. She's actually the reason we're here. She told us about the van, about the transfers, about you." Brittany's knees buckled. An agent caught her. "She remembered me?" "She remembered all of you. Knew your names. Wouldn't let us stop looking." By 11:30 a.m., they'd found Marcus Williams and Jessica Park, both living at the same address, a rundown house in the industrial district. The man who answered the door, Raymond Webb, said he was their uncle. Records check came back negative. No biological relation, no legal guardianship paperwork. But he had been receiving $1,600 cash per month, $800 per child for 14 months. Marcus was 12 now, Jessica was 9. Both were underweight. Both had bruises in various stages of healing. Both flinched when Raymond moved too quickly. Jessica asked the same question Brittany had. Is Maya okay? By 1:45 p.m., they'd found Timothy Ross and Lily Tran. Timothy had been living at an unlicensed auto shop, sleeping in the office, working on cars during the day instead of going to school. He was 13, hadn't seen a doctor in over a year. Lily was 10, placed with a family that already had 6 children and was using her as a live-in babysitter. She was responsible for 4 kids under age 5. Got 2 hours of sleep per night. When the agents told Lily she was being removed, she asked, "Where's Maya? Is she still alive?" Director Chen said Maya ran away because she was crazy. 5 children located. 5 children who'd been invisible for months, living in conditions that made Parkside look acceptable by comparison. 5 children who asked about Maya before they asked about their own futures. But 4 children were still missing. David Foster, age 14. Angela Martinez, age 10. Brandon Lee, age 12. Christina Hayes, age 11. The spreadsheet listed their placement dates, listed the last known addresses. But when agents checked those addresses, they found nothing. Empty apartments, foreclosed houses, no forwarding information, no paper trail. By 3 p.m., Tank called Ghost. They found 5. 4 are still missing. FBI is treating it as a kidnapping case now. Amber alerts going out. Media notification imminent. Ghost was sitting with Maya at Carmen's kitchen table. They'd spent the day trying to create normalcy. Carmen had enrolled Maya in school, starting Monday. They'd gone shopping for clothes that actually fit. They'd set up Maya's room, the small bedroom at the end of the hall that had been storage before. But Maya couldn't stop thinking about the names. David, Angela, Brandon, Christina, the ones they hadn't found yet. What if they're dead? Maya asked. Her voice was flat, clinical, the tone of someone who'd already imagined the worst and was trying to prepare for it. Then we make sure everyone knows their names, Ghost said. We make sure they're not forgotten. But we're not there yet. At 4:17 p.m., the break came from an unexpected source. One of the located children, Timothy Ross, had kept a journal. He'd written in it sporadically during his time at the unlicensed auto shop, documenting everything because he said, "If I disappear, someone needs to know what happened." In his journal, he'd written about another boy who'd been at the shop before him. Brandon was here before me. He said he'd been moved 3 times. Said the last place was a farm upstate. Said he ran away, but they caught him. Brought him here. Then one day he was just gone. The owner said Brandon got adopted, but Brandon's stuff was still here. His jacket, his backpack. Nobody who gets adopted leaves their stuff behind. The FBI traced the farm upstate reference, cross-referenced property records with known associates of Director Chen, found a lead, a farm 200 miles north, owned by Harold and Diane Peters. No children listed in household records, but property taxes showed a significant increase in claim dependents in 2023. Agents arrived at the farm at 6:45 p.m., found Brandon Lee doing chores in the barn, 13 years old now, hadn't attended school in over a year, was working 12-hour days on the farm in exchange for room and board. The Peters claimed they'd adopted him through a private agency, had no paperwork to prove it. Brandon was removed immediately. Asked the same question everyone else had. Is Maya safe? 3 children still missing. David Foster, Angela Martinez, Christina Hayes. By 8 p.m., the media had the story. Every news station, every newspaper. Federal raid uncovers child trafficking operation at City Youth Facility. Director Leslie Chen's photo on every screen. The woman with the awards and the perfect resume being led away in handcuffs. Maya watched the news with Ghost and Carmen, watched her own story play out on television without her name being mentioned. The 14-year-old who'd blown the case open was being protected, kept anonymous, referred to only as a former resident who came forward. But Maya's phone, the new phone Carmen had bought her that afternoon, was blowing up. Messages from kids she'd known at Parkside. Kids who'd been too scared to speak before, but were finding their voices now. One message stopped her cold. From a number she didn't recognize. Maya, it's Angela. Angela Martinez. I saw the news. I'm alive. I've been hiding at my older sister's apartment. She's 19, not approved for foster care. But she took me anyway when I ran from the last place they sent me. Please, tell them I'm okay. Tell them I don't want to go back into the system. Maya showed the message to Ghost. He called Morrison immediately. We've got Angela Martinez. She reached out. She's safe, with her biological sister. Get me the address. We'll send someone to verify. By 9:30 p.m., agents had confirmed Angela was alive, living with her 19-year-old sister in a studio apartment, malnourished but unharmed, terrified of being taken away again. The FBI agent who interviewed her said, "We're not taking you anywhere you don't want to go. Your sister is your family. We'll work with social services to make this placement legal." 2 children still missing, David Foster, Christina Hayes. At 11 p.m., Reaper called with the final breakthrough. The forensic team had found deleted emails on Director Chen's laptop, correspondence with someone named Michael Foster, David Foster's uncle. The emails were explicit. Nephew is causing problems. Can't handle him anymore. Need him gone. Will pay. Director Chen had responded, can accommodate. Therapeutic placement available. $2,000 initial fee. No questions asked. She charged people to take difficult kids, Reaper said. His voice was shaking with rage. She took money from families who wanted children gone and made them disappear into her ghost system. The FBI tracked Michael Foster to an address in Nevada. When agents knocked, he answered drunk, belligerent, said David had run away 6 months ago. He'd filed a missing persons report, he claimed, though no such report existed in any system. Agents didn't believe him, got a warrant, searched the property, found David Foster locked in a shed behind the house. 15 years old, hadn't seen daylight in weeks. Michael Foster had been holding him prisoner, using him for labor, threatening to kill him if he ran. David was removed, hospitalized. The first thing he said to the agent who found him was, I didn't think anyone was looking for me. 1 child left, Christina Hayes, 11 years old, last known placement 16 months ago. No contact since, no leads, no trail. The search continued through the night, every available agent, every possible connection, but by 3 a.m., they had nothing. Maya couldn't sleep, sat in her new room, Emma's photograph on one side of her desk, a printout of Christina Hayes' school picture on the other. A girl with dark curly hair and a shy smile. A girl who'd been invisible for 16 months. A girl who might already be gone. At 4:30 a.m., Maya's phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Then something told her to pick up. Hello? Is this Maya? A girl's voice, young, scared. This is Christina Hayes. I saw your number on the news website. In the comments section, someone posted it said you were helping find missing kids. I need help. I don't know where I am. The woman who took me from Parkside brought me to a house. There are 4 other kids here. None of us are supposed to be here. She locks the doors, takes our phones. I stole hers while she was sleeping. Please help us. Maya's hands started shaking. Christina, I'm here. We're going to find you. Stay on the line. Can you tell me anything about where you are? Anything you can see? There's a sign across the street. Blue sign. Says Wilson Creek Community Church. Maya was already running down the hall, burst into Ghost's room. It's Christina. She called. She needs help. There are 4 other kids with her. Ghost was on his phone in seconds, calling Morrison. We've got Christina Hayes on the line. She's with 4 other children, locked in a house near Wilson Creek Community Church. We need units there now. 14 minutes. That's how long it took for 3 FBI units and 2 police cars to converge on the house near Wilson Creek Community Church. They breached the door at 4:47 a.m., found Christina Hayes and four other children, ages 7 to 12, locked in bedrooms on the second floor. Found a woman named Patricia Moore who'd been running an unlicensed group home, taking cash payments from Director Chen for children who'd become too difficult to place elsewhere. Christina was 11. Asked the same question all the others had. Is Maya really okay? Director Chen said she died, said she jumped off a bridge because she was crazy. At 5:30 a.m., Maya sat at Carmen's kitchen table while Ghost made coffee and Carmen made breakfast nobody would eat. 9 children found, all alive, all asking about the girl who'd remembered them, all wondering if the invisible girl who'd saved a stranger's child was the reason someone finally came looking. They're safe because of you, Ghost said. Every single one. Maya looked at Emma's photograph, at Christina's school picture, at the list of names written on a piece of paper in front of her. Brittany, Marcus, Jessica, Timothy, Lily, David, Angela, Brandon, Christina. Emma would have been proud, Maya whispered. Carmen knelt beside her chair. Emma is proud, and so are we. At 6 a.m., Director Leslie Chen was formally arraigned. Wire fraud, theft of government funds, 12 counts of child endangerment, conspiracy to commit welfare fraud, child trafficking, and new charges, kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, filing false documents. Bail was set at $750,000. She couldn't make it. At 6:15 a.m., Tank called Ghost. The city's calling an emergency meeting. They want Maya to testify before city council, want her to tell her story publicly. They're drafting emergency legislation, Maya's Law, mandatory oversight for all city-contracted facilities. Are you willing? Ghost looked at Maya. What do you think? You ready to stop being invisible? Maya touched the photograph of Emma, touched the list of names, thought about 9 children who'd asked if she was alive, thought about Sophie Martinez, who'd stopped crying and started breathing because Maya had run when everyone else walked past. I'm ready. The preparation took 3 days. 3 days of Maya sitting with Carmen and a lawyer named Patricia Morgan who specialized in child advocacy cases, going through every detail of her 18 months at Parkside, every locked door, every missed meal, every hour in the reflection room. They're going to ask hard questions, Patricia said. She was 56, had been doing this work for 30 years, had seen every kind of trauma. They're going to want specifics, dates, times, names. Can you do that? Maya's hands were shaking. What if I forget something? What if I say it wrong and nobody believes me? Then you say you forgot. Then you say it wrong, but you keep talking. You keep telling the truth. Patricia leaned forward. The city council isn't a courtroom. They're not trying to trap you. They want to understand what happened so they can fix it. Can you trust that? I don't trust adults, Maya said flatly. Adults saw me every day at Parkside and did nothing. Adults walked past me on the street for 2 weeks and looked away. Why should I trust these adults will be different? Patricia didn't flinch. Because these adults are being watched by 200 motorcycle club members who will make their lives extremely difficult if they hurt you. Because Ghost and Carmen will be sitting right behind you the entire time. And because 9 children are alive today because you trusted Ghost when every instinct told you not to. Sometimes trust is a choice we make despite the evidence. Can you make that choice one more time? Maya looked at Emma's photograph on Carmen's kitchen table. For Emma, for the 9 kids, not for me. That's enough, Patricia said. The night before the testimony, Maya couldn't sleep. Sat in her new room at 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling, counting the ways this could go wrong. They wouldn't believe her. They'd think she was exaggerating. They'd blame her for running away. They'd send her back. Ghost knocked at 2:17 a.m. Can't sleep either? How did you know I was awake? Because I was awake after I testified at my court-martial. Because Carmen was awake before she had to defend her counseling program to the school board. Because being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It just means you do it anyway. He sat on the floor beside her bed. Didn't try to make her feel better. Just sat there. "What if I mess up?" Maya whispered. "Then you mess up. Then you fix it. Then you keep going." Ghost was quiet for a moment. "You know what scared me most when I testified? That nobody would care. That I'd tell the truth and it wouldn't matter. But you know what? Even when they didn't believe me, even when I lost my career, I could look at myself in the mirror. That's worth something. Is it? Is it worth losing everything just to tell the truth? Yeah, it is. Because the alternative is staying silent while kids keep disappearing. And you already know you can't do that. You proved it when you ran after Sophie." Maya turned to look at him. "Why did you really stop that day? The real reason." Ghost took a breath. "Because 8 years ago, I walked past a kid who needed help. Told myself someone else would handle it. She died. And I've been trying to make up for that ever since. You gave me a chance to get it right this time, so thank you." "You're thanking me?" "Every single day." The city council meeting was scheduled for 10 a.m. By 8:30 a.m., there were 200 motorcycles parked outside City Hall in perfect formation. Tank had called every chapter again, said, "We're not intimidating anyone. We're showing support. There's a difference." The council chamber filled fast. Media, social workers, advocates, parents, and in the back rows, 53 Iron Wolves members wearing their cuts, sitting silent, making their presence known without saying a word. Maya walked in at 9:47 a.m., flanked by Ghost and Carmen. She was wearing clothes that fit, jeans, a sweater Carmen had bought her, shoes without duct tape. Her arm was still in a sling, her shoulder still ached, but she was standing. Patricia met them at the door. "You ready?" "No." "Good, that means you care. Let's go." The council president, Margaret Torres, called the emergency session to order at 10:03 a.m. "We're here today to address serious allegations regarding Parkside Youth Residential Center and to hear testimony from individuals affected by systemic failures in our child welfare system. Our first witness is Maya Chen, 14 years old, former resident of Parkside." Maya walked to the witness table, sat down. The microphone in front of her looked massive, threatening, like it could swallow her whole. "Miss Chen," Torres said gently, "thank you for being here. I know this is difficult. Take your time. Tell us what happened." Maya's mouth went dry. She looked at the council members, 7 faces staring back, waiting, judging. Then she looked past them to Ghost and Carmen in the front row, to Tank standing against the wall, to Jennifer Martinez holding Sophie, who'd insisted on coming. "My parents died 18 months ago," Maya started. Her voice was barely audible. Someone adjusted the microphone. "Apartment fire. My mother, my father, and my little sister Emma. She was 5. I tried to save her. The firefighters pulled me away, said the building was too unstable, said I'd die if I went back. Emma died while I was standing on the sidewalk, doing nothing. She could hear people shifting in their seats, could feel the attention focusing. I was placed at Parkside 3 days after the funeral. I was 12. I didn't understand what was happening. I just knew everyone I loved was dead, and I was being sent somewhere called a residential facility." She swallowed. "The first thing they did was take my grandmother's phone number. Said outside contact had to be supervised. I asked when I could call her. They said, when you've adjusted." "Did you ever call her?" Torres asked. "No, because 3 weeks later my caseworker told me my grandmother had been evaluated and deemed unable to care for me. She had dementia. I knew that. But I also knew she loved me. And nobody asked if maybe love mattered more than perfect memory." The room was silent now. Even the reporters had stopped typing. "I shared a room with 3 other girls, 9 feet by 12 feet, 4 beds, 1 window painted shut. Fire code says windows in sleeping areas have to be operable. Ours wasn't. When I asked about it, the staff member said, "We can't have girls climbing out." I said, "What if there's a fire?" She said, "There won't be a fire." Maya's voice got steadier as she talked, stronger, like speaking the words aloud was pulling poison from a wound. Meals came at fixed times. Breakfast at 6:30 a.m., lunch at 11:30 a.m., dinner at 5 p.m. If you were sick and missed breakfast, you didn't eat until lunch. If you were in the reflection room during dinner, you didn't eat until the next day. "What's the reflection room?" one of the council members asked. Maya's jaw tightened. 6 feet by 8 feet, concrete walls, one camera in the corner, no windows. Kids got sent there for de-escalation when we asked too many questions or broke rules. I was locked in there for 14 hours once. No food, no water, no bathroom, just concrete in the camera's red light blinking. She heard someone in the gallery gasp. "Why were you sent there?" Torres asked. "Because I asked why my grandmother couldn't visit. Director Chen said I was being emotionally dysregulated, that I needed time to process my feelings in a calm environment. That's what she called it, a calm environment. I called it a cell." "Did you report this to anyone?" "I tried. I told the facility counselor, Ms. Rodriguez. She filed a report. 2 weeks later, she was reassigned to a different facility. The report disappeared from my file. When I asked about it, Director Chen said, "Ms. Rodriguez felt her skills were better utilized elsewhere. We're committed to your well-being, Maya." And then she smiled. She smiled like she was helping me. Maya's hands were shaking now. Carmen started to stand. Ghost put a hand on her arm. Let her finish. "The food budget was supposed to be $14 per child per day. The cook told me. She got fired for complaining when it was cut to $6. I weighed 98 pounds when I got to Parkside. I weighed 82 pounds when I left. I was starving. We all were. But when inspectors came, Director Chen served special meals. Made everything look perfect. The inspectors ate better than we did." A council member named David Richardson spoke up. "Miss Chen, you mentioned you left. How did you leave?" "I climbed out a bathroom window. I'd been locked in there for refusing to take medication I didn't need. Antipsychotics. Director Chen said I was showing signs of attachment disorder and oppositional behavior. I said I wasn't sick, I was grieving. She said grief that interferes with daily functioning is a mental health issue. She prescribed medication. I refused. She locked me in the bathroom until I'd made a mature decision." "How long were you locked in?" 14 hours. No food, no water. The window had razor wire on the outside, but it was old, rusty. I cut my hands climbing through. I still have the scars. She held up her left palm. The gallery could see the white lines crossing her skin. "Where did you go after you escaped?" "Subway stations. I slept on trains. Moved every few hours so security wouldn't catch me. I ate from dumpsters behind restaurants. I showered in public bathroom sinks. I was invisible. For 2 weeks, hundreds of people walked past me every day. Nobody stopped. Nobody asked if I was okay. Nobody cared." Her voice cracked. She took a breath, steadied herself. "Until Mr. Ghost. Until I saw Sophie falling and I ran. And when I broke my shoulder catching her, he stopped. He listened. He believed me. And he called 200 people who decided I was worth saving." Torres leaned forward. "Why did you run to catch Sophie? You were homeless, injured, scared. You could have kept walking like everyone else did." Maya looked at Emma's photograph, which she'd placed on the table in front of her. "Because I couldn't watch another child die while I did nothing. Because Emma fell and I wasn't fast enough. Because for 18 months I've been invisible, and I was tired of being invisible. Someone needed to see that little girl. So I saw her, and I caught her." The chamber was dead silent. Then someone started clapping. Jennifer Martinez standing in the back with Sophie, then Ghost, then Carmen, then Tank. then all 200 Iron Wolves members, then the gallery, then the reporters, even some of the council members. Torres waited for the applause to stop. "Miss Chen, do you know what happened to the other children who were transferred from Parkside?" "Some of them. The FBI found 9. Brittany Walsh was sleeping on a couch, being used as unpaid labor. Marcus Williams and Jessica Park had bruises from being hit. Timothy Ross was working at an auto shop instead of going to school. David Foster was locked in a shed. Christina Hayes called me at 4:30 in the morning because she'd seen my story on the news and she needed help. She was locked in a house with 4 other kids who weren't supposed to exist." "What do you mean, weren't supposed to exist?" "Director Chen made children disappear, told the state they'd been transferred to therapeutic placements, kept billing for their care, pocketed the difference. And when something went wrong, when placements fell apart or kids ran away, she closed the files, marked them unknown, stopped looking, because looking would reveal what she'd done." Richardson spoke again. "Are you saying Director Leslie Chen deliberately trafficked children for profit?" Maya met his eyes. "I'm saying Director Leslie Chen took vulnerable children who'd already lost everything and treated us like inventory, like numbers on a spreadsheet, like problems to be managed and disappeared. 9 children almost died because of her choices. 9 children asked if I was alive because she told them I was dead. She told them I jumped off a bridge because I was crazy. She wanted them to stop hoping someone would come looking." Torres's voice was thick with emotion. "What do you want us to do, Miss Chen?" "I want you to make sure this never happens to another child. I want quarterly inspections by people who actually talk to the kids, not just the director. I want anonymous hotlines so staff can report abuse without losing their jobs. I want every transfer to require court approval and verified placement. I want GPS tracking on every vehicle that transports children. And I want Director Chen to spend the rest of her life in prison knowing that 9 children survived because she failed to make us invisible enough." The vote happened 2 hours later. Maya's law passed unanimously. 7 council members, 7 yes votes. Mandatory unannounced monthly inspections, anonymous reporting systems, criminal penalties for directors who falsify placement records, GPS tracking requirements, court approval for all transfers. The trial started 6 weeks later. Federal courthouse, jury of 12, prosecution team of 4. Director Leslie Chen sat at the defense table wearing a gray suit, hair pulled back, looking nothing like the woman who'd smiled at inspectors while children starved. Maya testified on day 3, repeated everything she'd told city council. The defense attorney, a man named Robert Sterling, tried to discredit her. "Miss Chen, isn't it true you have a history of oppositional behavior?" "No. But your file from Parkside indicates..." "My file was written by Director Chen, the woman on trial for trafficking children. You're asking me if her assessment of my behavior is accurate?" Sterling shifted tactics. "You ran away from Parkside. That's against facility rules. So is locking children in concrete rooms for 14 hours. So is starving us. So is selling us to unlicensed individuals for cash. Which rules matter more?" Sterling had no answer for that. The prosecution called every rescued child. Brittany testified about sleeping on a couch for 8 months. Marcus testified about being hit when he didn't work fast enough. Timothy testified about the journal he'd kept, documenting everything in case he disappeared. Christina testified about stealing a phone at 4 a.m. to call Maya because Maya was the only person who'd remembered her name. The jury deliberated for 4 hours, came back with a verdict at 3:47 p.m. on a Friday afternoon. On the count of wire fraud, how do you find? Guilty. On the count of theft of government funds? Guilty. On the counts of child endangerment? Guilty on all 12 counts. On the count of child trafficking? Guilty. Director Leslie Chen's face went white. Her lawyer asked for bail pending sentencing. The judge denied it. Miss Chen has demonstrated a profound disregard for the welfare of children entrusted to her care. She will remain in custody until sentencing. Sentencing happened 2 weeks later. The judge, Patricia Martinez, the same judge who'd granted Maya's emergency custody, delivered the ruling. Miss Chen, you held a position of trust. You had a Ph.D. You had awards. You had the governor's commendation for excellence in child welfare. And you used all of that credibility to exploit the most vulnerable population in our society. You took children who'd already lost everything and treated them like commodities. You sold them. You starved them. You locked them in rooms and called it therapy. You made them disappear and called it placement. Director Chen tried to speak. Your Honor, I never meant. You never meant to get caught. That's what you never meant. Judge Martinez's voice was ice. 9 children could have died because of your choices. 9 children spent months in conditions that made your facility look acceptable. And when one of those children, a 14-year-old girl with a dislocated shoulder and duct tape on her shoes, finally spoke up, you told everyone she was crazy. You tried to make her invisible too. She looked down at the sentencing guidelines. The prosecution has requested 15 years. The defense has requested 5. I'm sentencing you to 18 years in federal prison. No parole eligibility for 12 years. And I want you to spend every single day of those 12 years thinking about Maya Chen. Thinking about how she saved a stranger's child and destroyed her own body doing it. Thinking about how she kept 9 children alive by refusing to forget their names. Thinking about how she did everything you failed to do. She saw children who needed help, and she helped them. You saw children who needed help, and you profited from their suffering. Director Leslie Chen was led away in handcuffs, didn't look back, didn't apologize, just walked out of the courtroom with her head down, finally invisible herself. Maya sat in the gallery between Ghost and Carmen, watching the woman who'd made her invisible being erased from society. It should have felt like victory, like justice, like closure. Instead, it just felt like the beginning of something else. Something harder than testimony and trials. The work of learning to be visible again. The work of believing she deserved to be seen. Ghost's hand found hers, squeezed once. You did it. We did it, Maya corrected, because she'd learned that much. Learned that being invisible wasn't her fault. Learned that being seen required people willing to look. Learned that family wasn't who you were born to. It was who showed up when everything fell apart. Jennifer Martinez was waiting outside the courtroom with Sophie. The little girl who'd fallen and started everything ran straight to Maya, wrapped her arms around Maya's legs. You saved me, Sophie said. Mommy says you're a hero. Maya knelt down, looked Sophie in the eyes. You saved me too. You just don't know it yet. Because that was the truth. Sophie had fallen and Maya had run, and in running, Maya had stopped being invisible, had started being seen, had learned that the scared people who run toward danger are braver than the safe people who walk past it. 18 years. Director Leslie Chen would spend 18 years behind walls that locked from the outside. Would spend 18 years learning what it felt like to be powerless. Would spend 18 years knowing that 9 children survived because a 14-year-old girl with a broken shoulder and a photo of her dead sister refused to forget their names. Maya walked out of the courthouse into afternoon sunshine. 200 motorcycles were waiting. Tank, Bishop, Professor, Doc, Reaper. All the people who'd stopped when they should have kept going. All the people who'd believed her when belief should have been impossible. Where to now? Ghost asked. Maya looked at Emma's photograph, looked at the courthouse behind her, looked at the life in front of her. Home, she said. Let's go home. Home was a word Maya had to relearn. For 3 weeks after the trial, she woke up at 4 a.m. expecting concrete walls and locked doors. Woke up reaching for Emma's photograph to prove she still existed. Woke up panicking because the bedroom door was open and someone might see her vulnerable, might hurt her, might make her disappear again. Carmen found her on the floor the fourth night, back pressed against the wall, hyperventilating. "I can't do this," Maya gasped. "I can't sleep. I can't eat. I can't be here." "Where do you want to be?" "Nowhere. Invisible. Gone." Carmen sat on the floor beside her. Didn't touch, didn't crowd, just sat. "You know what Ghost told me after Shayna died?" Carmen said quietly. "He said he wanted to disappear. Said being visible meant feeling the pain, and he couldn't handle the pain. So I told him something my therapist told me. Pain isn't the problem. Numbness is. When you stop feeling pain, you stop feeling everything. And then you're invisible, even to yourself." Maya's breathing started to slow. How long did it take? For him to feel like a person again? 2 years, but he had to choose it every single day. Had to choose to get out of bed. Had to choose to talk to people. Had to choose to believe tomorrow might hurt less than today. Carmen looked at her. "Nobody can make that choice for you, but we can sit with you while you make it." The first day of school was 4 weeks after the trial. Maya had been enrolled at Lincoln Middle School, 8th grade, despite missing most of 7th. The principal, Mrs. Anderson, had read her file, knew her story, had promised to make accommodations. But accommodations couldn't stop the staring, couldn't stop the whispers when Maya walked into homeroom, couldn't stop the girl who said too loudly, "That's her, the one from the news, the facility girl." Maya's hands started shaking. She sat in the back row, head down, counting seconds until she could leave. At lunch, she ate alone. Started to think maybe invisible was safer after all. Then someone sat down across from her. "You're Maya, right?" A boy, maybe 15, dark hair, quiet eyes. "I'm Daniel. I was at Riverside Children's Home before they shut it down last year. Different facility, same story. Just wanted to say, what you did took guts." Maya looked up. "They shut down Riverside?" "After your testimony went public, city investigated every contracted facility, found violations everywhere. Riverside, Mountain View, Harbor House, all of them." He paused. 12 facilities closed. Maybe 200 kids placed in better situations. Because you spoke up. "I didn't know." Most people don't pay attention to what happens after the news cycle ends. But those 200 kids know. We all know. Daniel stood. "Anyway, you're not alone here. Just wanted you to know that." He walked away before Maya could respond. But something in her chest loosened. Just slightly. Just enough to breathe. Therapy started the second week. Dr. Lin Chen, no relation to Director Leslie Chen, a fact she'd made clear immediately, specialized in childhood trauma. Her office was small, comfortable, nothing like the clinical rooms at Parkside. "Tell me about Emma," Dr. Chen said during the third session. Maya's jaw tightened. "I don't want to talk about Emma." "Why not?" "Because talking about her means admitting she's gone, means admitting I failed." "You were 12 years old, in a burning building. How did you fail?" "I wasn't fast enough. The firefighters pulled me back. I should have fought harder." Dr. Chen leaned forward. "Or the firefighters saved your life. And Emma's death wasn't your fault. It was the fire's fault, the smoke's fault, the faulty wiring's fault, but not yours." "Then why do I feel like it is?" "Because blame is easier than grief. Blame gives you control, makes you responsible, makes you powerful. Grief makes you powerless, and you've been powerless for 18 months, so you choose blame instead." She paused. "But here's the thing about blame. It keeps Emma frozen at 5 years old, keeps her dying forever. Grief lets her rest." Maya started crying. Couldn't stop. 18 months of holding it together, holding it in, holding it down. It all came out at once. "I can't let her go," Maya sobbed. If I let her go, she disappears. If she disappears, it's like she never existed. Or you carry her differently, not as guilt, as love, as memory, as the reason you ran when Sophie fell. Dr. Chen's voice was gentle. Emma doesn't need you to suffer. She needs you to live. Can you do that for her? 6 weeks after the trial, Tank organized a gathering at the Iron Wolves clubhouse. Not a party, a reunion. 9 children Maya had named. 9 children the FBI had found. 9 children who'd asked if Maya was alive. Brittany Walsh arrived first. 15 now, living with a verified foster family, enrolled in school, gaining weight. She saw Maya and burst into tears. You remembered me, Brittany said. You knew my name. Of course I knew your name, Maya said. How could I forget? Marcus Williams came next. Timothy Ross, Jessica Park, Lily Tran, David Foster, Angela Martinez, Brandon Lee, Christina Hayes. All of them alive, all of them healing, all of them surrounding Maya like proof that speaking up had mattered. Christina hugged Maya so hard it hurt. I called you at 4:30 in the morning and you answered. You answered. Nobody ever answers when I need help. I'll always answer, Maya said. Always. They spent 3 hours together, sharing stories, comparing scars, laughing about things that weren't funny but hurt less when you laughed. And somewhere in the middle of it, Maya realized she wasn't invisible anymore. She was seen. She was known. She was real. But being real meant feeling everything. The good and the bad. The hope and the terror. And 3 months after the trial, the terror won. Maya stopped sleeping again, stopped eating, started having panic attacks in class. One particularly bad episode sent her to the nurse's office, hyperventilating, convinced she was dying. Ghost came to pick her up, found her curled on the nurse's couch, shaking. I can't do this, Maya whispered. I thought I could, but I can't. It's too hard. Being visible is too hard. Ghost knelt beside her. You know what's harder? Disappearing. I tried that after Shayna died. Tried to erase myself. Stopped talking. Stopped caring. Stopped existing. And you know what happened? I woke up 3 years later and realized I'd wasted 3 years being invisible to myself. He paused. You're not wasting your life, Maya. You're building it. And building is messy. Building hurts. But being invisible isn't protecting you. It's erasing you. What if I'm not strong enough? You caught a 4-year-old falling from 3 stories. You testified in front of city council. You stared down Director Chen in a federal courtroom. You're strong enough. He looked at her. But you don't have to be strong every day. Some days you can be scared. Some days you can be broken. Some days you can just be 14. Maya started crying again, but this time Ghost held her. Let her break. Let her be weak. Let her be human. 4 months after the trial, Jennifer Martinez invited Maya to Sophie's 5th birthday party. Maya almost said no, almost convinced herself Sophie didn't really remember her, almost stayed invisible. But Carmen said, go. Let that little girl thank you. Let her see you're real. Sophie opened the door wearing a princess dress and a huge smile, saw Maya, screamed, Maya! Mommy, Maya came! Maya's here! She threw herself at Maya's legs, held on like Maya might disappear if she let go. I drew you a picture, Sophie said. She dragged Maya inside, showed her a crayon drawing of 2 stick figures, one big, one small. The big one had a red mark on her shoulder. The small one had a smile. That's you catching me. Mommy says you're my hero. You're my hero too, Maya said. You showed me I could be brave. Sophie didn't understand, wouldn't understand for years. But Jennifer did. She pulled Maya aside while Sophie demolished her birthday cake. I need to tell you something, Jennifer said. After the trial, I started volunteering, foster care advocacy, family court observation, making sure judges see the kids, not just the paperwork. I do it because of you, because you made me realize I'd been walking past invisible children my whole life. So thank you. Thank you for waking me up. Maya didn't know what to say to that, didn't know how to process the idea that saving Sophie had saved other children she'd never meet. So she just said, "Thank you for believing me." 4 adults walked past. You were the first one who listened. I should have listened sooner. 6 months after the trial, the adoption became final. Maya Chen became Maya Rivera. Legal, permanent, real. Judge Martinez presided. The same judge who'd granted emergency custody, who'd sentenced Director Chen, who'd watched Maya transform from a scared kid with a dislocated shoulder to a young woman with a voice. "Miss Rivera," Judge Martinez said, "I've been doing this job for 23 years. I've seen thousands of cases, but I've never seen someone fight as hard as you fought. You saved 9 children. You changed legislation. You made invisible children visible. And now you're choosing a family. That takes more courage than anything else you've done. Congratulations." Ghost and Carmen signed the papers, made it official, made Maya theirs, made themselves hers. Afterward, Tank threw a party at the clubhouse. 200 motorcycles, 200 people who'd mobilized for a stranger and stayed for family. They'd created a college fund for Maya, $127,000 and growing. Scholarship to anywhere she wanted to go. Proof that being seen meant being supported. "Speech," someone yelled. "Maya needs to give a speech." Maya's hands started shaking. Public speaking still terrified her, but Ghost squeezed her shoulder once. Carmen nodded, and Sophie, who'd insisted on coming, yelled, "You can do it, Maya." Maya stood on a chair so everyone could see her. "I don't know how to thank you," she started. Her voice cracked. She cleared her throat. 18 months ago, I was invisible, sleeping in subway stations, eating from dumpsters, running from a system that made children disappear. 4 people walked past me the day Sophie fell. You were the 5th group. You stopped. You listened. You believed me when belief should have been impossible. She looked at Ghost, at Carmen, at Tank, at all the faces staring back. I've learned something since then. Being invisible isn't safe. It's erasure. And being seen, really seen, means people can hurt you. But it also means people can save you. You saved me. And in saving me, you saved 9 other kids. You changed laws. You shut down 12 facilities. You made it harder for people like Director Chen to profit from suffering. Her voice got stronger. So here's what I want to say. To everyone watching this story, everyone hearing about the girl who caught a falling child and broke her own shoulder doing it, pay attention. Look around. See the invisible people. The homeless kid on the subway. The foster child sitting alone at lunch. The neighbor who seems too quiet. The kid with the duct tape shoes. Don't walk past. Don't assume someone else will handle it. Stop. Ask if they're okay. Listen when they answer. Believe them when they tell hard truths. She paused, looked at Emma's photograph, which she'd brought with her. My sister Emma died because I wasn't fast enough. But Sophie lived because I ran. 9 children survived because Ghost stopped. 12 facilities closed because Tank mobilized. 200 kids found better placements because people chose to see them. That's what visibility does. It saves lives. The room was silent. Then Sophie started clapping. Then everyone else joined. 200 people standing, applauding a 14-year-old girl who'd learned that being seen was worth the risk. 1 year after the trial, Maya spoke at a national child welfare conference. 400 people, advocates, social workers, legislators, policymakers. She'd written her speech with Carmen's help, practiced it 50 times, but standing at the podium, looking at 400 faces, she put the notes aside. I was invisible for 18 months, she said. Hundreds of people walked past me every day, saw me and chose not to see me, looked at a 12-year-old girl with duct tape shoes and no adults, and convinced themselves someone else was handling it. And you know what? Some of those people are in this room right now. The audience shifted. Uncomfortable. Good. I'm not saying that to shame you. I'm saying it to wake you up. Because right now, somewhere in this city, there's a child sleeping on a subway train. There's a kid locked in a reflection room for asking questions. There's a teenager being trafficked through a ghost system that treats children like inventory. And you're choosing not to see them. Her voice got harder, louder. Stop choosing blindness. Stop telling yourself someone more qualified will handle it. Stop accepting explanations that let you sleep at night. Start asking uncomfortable questions. Start believing children when they tell you they're being hurt. Start demanding accountability from people who claim to protect children while profiting from their suffering. She looked directly at the social workers in the front row. You have power. Use it. File reports even when supervisors tell you not to. Document everything. Photograph injuries. Record inconsistencies. And when they fire you for speaking up, because they will, know that you're doing what I did. You're choosing visibility over comfort. You're choosing children over careers. You're choosing right over easy. The applause was scattered at first, then louder, then everyone standing. Afterward, 12 social workers approached Maya, said they'd been walking past, said they'd been choosing comfort, said tomorrow they'd do better. That's all I'm asking, Maya said. Do better tomorrow than you did today. That's how change happens. 2 years after the trial, Maya turned 16. She'd grown 3 inches, gained 28 pounds. Her shoulder had healed completely, though it still ached when it rained. She was a straight-A student, had friends, had a family, had a future. But she still carried Emma's photograph everywhere, still woke up sometimes at 4 a.m. expecting concrete walls, still flinched when doors closed too quickly. Healing wasn't linear, wasn't clean, wasn't complete. Dr. Chen said that was normal, said trauma leaves scars, and scars don't disappear. They just become part of your story. So what's your story now? Dr. Chen asked during their session. Maya thought about it. I'm the girl who ran, the girl who was invisible until she chose not to be, the girl who saved 9 children by refusing to forget their names, the girl who learned that being seen is scary, but being erased is worse. That's a good story. It's not finished yet. The best stories never are. 3 years after the trial, Maya stood on the courthouse steps where she'd testified. She was 17 now, a high school senior, applying to colleges, planning to study social work, planning to fix the system that had broken her. Sophie was 9, growing fast, still visiting Maya every month, still calling her my hero, even though Maya kept saying heroes didn't exist, just people who chose to act. The 9 rescued children stayed in touch. Group chat, monthly video calls, annual reunions at the Iron Wolves clubhouse. Proof that being found meant staying found. That visibility was permanent if you worked at it. Ghost and Carmen had fostered 2 more kids since Maya, both temporary placements while their parents got help. Both returned home better than when they'd left. Because Ghost and Carmen had learned what Maya taught them, that every child deserves to be seen, that family is chosen, that saving one person saves the world. Director Leslie Chen had 8 years left on her sentence. Maya didn't think about her much anymore. Didn't need to. The woman who'd tried to erase children had been erased herself. The woman who'd profited from suffering was suffering in a 6x8 cell. The woman who'd made children invisible had become invisible to everyone except the justice system. Maya stood on those courthouse steps and looked at the city that had ignored her for 18 months. Looked at the streets where she'd slept. Looked at the subway stations where she'd been invisible. And she thought about all the children still out there, still sleeping on trains, still being locked in rooms, still waiting for someone to stop. I see you, Maya said to the empty air, to the invisible children, to the ghosts in the system. I see you and I'm coming. We're all coming. Because I know what it's like to be invisible, and I know what it's like when someone finally sees you. So hold on, be brave a little longer. Someone's going to stop. Someone's going to ask if you're okay. Someone's going to believe you. I promise. She touched the scar on her palm, the one from the razor wire, the one that proved she'd climbed out, the one that proved escaping was possible. Then she touched the scar on her shoulder, the one from catching Sophie, the one that proved saving someone was worth destroying yourself, the one that proved visibility was always, always worth the risk. This is for Emma, Maya whispered. This is for the 9. This is for every child who's ever been invisible. I'm making sure the world sees you. I'm making sure you matter. I'm making sure that when you fall, someone runs. Because that's what heroes do. They run when everyone else walks past. They speak when everyone else stays silent. They see when everyone else looks away. Maya Rivera had been invisible for 18 months, but she'd spent the last 3 years making sure no other child would ever have to be invisible again. And she wasn't finished. Not even close. The best stories never are.